Hi everyone. I'm just welcoming the team. Everyone's here, amazing. Hi and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Kate McStraw. I'm the producer of Viv Gordon Company. I'm a woman in my 30s with long wavy blonde hair. I'm wearing silver hoop earrings and retro style glasses. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here this evening for the live launch of the music track and animation artwork, She Walks, and to host a discussion with the artists who made it. Before we get started, I wanted to give you some helpful information about tonight's event. We have an age guidance of 14 plus, and we'll be discussing lived experiences of surviving childhood sexual abuse. There will be no graphic references to abuse. The work focuses on living as an adult survivor. We would love for you all to interact with us this evening through the YouTube chat function. Maybe we can get this started now. I see some of you have already started to say hello to us and to each other. So if you haven't done so already, perhaps you can say hi. Maybe tell us where in the world you are watching from tonight or who you're watching with. We will use this same chat area later for you to ask questions to the team as well. Just so you know, our chat is moderated tonight by my colleague Molly. Please note that disruptive, offensive or aggressive behaviour will not be tolerated. We also have Lee doing the live captioning of the event. The running order is a short introduction from Artistic Director Viv Gordon, followed by a live screening and the official launch of She Walks. And you will be our very first audience, which if you can't already tell, I'm very excited about that fact. Then the creative team involved in making it will begin a conversation about the artwork. That's the point where you will be able to ask your questions to the team via the YouTube chat box. The event will end at 9 p.m. and a recording of it will remain available afterwards, so you can re-watch it and share it to all your friends to your heart's content. Now, I would love for each of the team to introduce themselves tonight so that you know who is who. Viv, would you like to get us started?
Sure. Hi there, I'm Viv Gordon. I'm the Artistic Director of Viv Gordon Company and of the Restless project. And I am a woman in her late 40s of mixed European heritage, and I have short dark hair and brown eyes.
Thank you. JDPL.
I am JPDL. I am a rapper and spoken word artist. I am of mixed ethnic origin. My father is Chinese Mauritian, my mother's white, and I've got I've got dreadlocks in a loose bun, and I'm wearing a hat and a brown jumper.
Thank you. Quinta.
Hello everybody, my name is Quinta. I'm a composer and musician, and I made the music for She Walks. I'm a woman, I'm in my 40s, I've got brown hair in 2 little plaits, and I'm wearing a necklace with 2 interlocking circles.
Thanks. Lou.
Hi, my name's Lou Sumray, and I'm a visual artist, and I made the drawing animation for this project. I'm a white woman who had her 63rd birthday either last week or the week before, can't quite remember. But I've now got very short hair, brown with grey flecks, but it used to be blue. In fact, it's been blue for the last 30 years, so I've taken a radical turn for a change. I've got brown eyes, and today I've got my favourite earrings in, which are kind of autumnally glittery.
Amazing. Thank you. Emma.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Bryson. I'm the company campaigner with Viv Gordon Company, and I've been building the building the campaign in the build-up to the release of Restless and She Walks. I'm also a survivor of childhood sexual abuse myself, and my background is around campaigning for access to justice for survivors in Scotland, where I'm one of the co-founders of the group Speak Out Survivors. I'm a woman in my late 40s. I've got kind of sandy coloured hair. I'm wearing glasses and a particularly unimaginative black sweater.
Thank you, Emma. And last but not least, Molly.
Hello everyone, I'm Molly Scarborough. I'm the projects and engagement producer for Viv Gordon Company. I've got long dark brown hair with brown eyes. I have freckles and I've got 3 lip piercings on my lower lip on the left hand side.
Thank you. Brilliant. And you can't see her this evening, but we're also supported by our stage manager, our digital stage manager this evening, Karen Lyon. So it's my absolute pleasure to kick off this evening by handing over to Viv Gordon to tell us a bit more about the background of the project She Walks.
That's brilliant. I just turned my camera off accidentally in that moment. Bye, everyone. Hi, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about She Walks, the track and animation that we're about to premiere this evening. It's very exciting. It's the first chapter in a larger project called Restless, that is an arts activism project aiming to increase voice, visibility and community for survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And I'm a survivor, and that's why I do the work that I do. There's an estimated 11 million adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse in the UK, which is a really shocking number, especially when we consider how little the issue is talked about culturally. And that tells us that a huge number of survivors have not been able to speak out. The Restless project uses walking and coastal landscapes as a way to talk about survivor experiences. For example, the idea of navigating challenging territory, or being isolated and exposed, or occupying the margins. And there's a central metaphor that runs through the project of the sea as a metaphor for activism that slowly, insistently, restlessly changes the landscape, just as survivor activism and our continuous collective action can change the cultural landscape. Walking has been a massive part of my life. It's something I do to manage my well-being, and I find solace and inspiration in nature and in the act of walking. But walking is also a primal act of protest. What do we do if we don't like something? We walk out. How do we express resistance to oppression? We march. So She Walks was created in response to an 110-mile walk that I did in 2018 with some of the collaborators here and my very good friend Sarah Blowers, along the Dorset Coast Path, which resulted in me writing a poem that I'm going to share with you later, that has been used as a source material for the She Walks project. The poem responds specifically to the landscape around Portland, which is a really mixed landscape. It's beautiful and ancient and wild, but there's also a lot of marks of capitalism and patriarchy in the landscape. There's a prison, a massive MOD site surrounded by razor wire, and intense quarrying on the Isle of Portland. And so that contrast is reflected in the work that you're going to see tonight. And the work also reflects on experiences of dissociation, which is a common trauma response that I experience, which is kind of a feeling of being out of my body, or feeling like my body is sort of disjointed or huge, lots of different feelings. And the track also reflects hope for change. We're planning to record new tracks in 2021 and work towards a full album which is a massive surprise to me because I've never done anything musical in my life. And She Walks will sit at the midpoint of that longer narrative. We're launching the work today because it's the first day of the international campaign of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It's also the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. During this period, there are events happening all over the world, so from today for 16 days, to raise awareness of and stand in resistance to all forms of gender-based violence. So I want to finish by saying that tonight we're standing in solidarity with survivors everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Viv. It's an amazing honour to say that we are now going to play the film for the first time. Is there anything you would like to add to have the last word before it goes live, Viv?
Oh, I just so much thanks to all of the team who have taken part in this project. What a remarkable group of people, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Viv. Karen, if you can hit play for us.
She walks.
She walks.
Because she can.
Because she needs to.
Because she needs
because
to.
she doesn't know what else to do with this body.
On this harsh and barren ledge, vertiginous we were dead walk. Feeling sensation is fresh, balanced on a tapered edge. Bare feet treaded what they barely touched before. Steps towards a moment as she blocked out of her thoughts. Pain and recollection pulled her further from the shore, exposing what's inside her soul's left torn.
Her head, a busy grinning island, floating beyond its numb harbor of flesh. Her breath, choppy, shallow, shouting silent, behind the stopped-up caves of her chest. Her pelvis is a fossil. She doesn't want to be a woman.
She can hear the muffled thunder as she walks, listening to echoes in her mind is what she walks. Fingertips traces razor wire while she walks. In between the light and darkest sky is where she walks. Her fire lit my wildness beyond the shore, moving to what sounds like crashing waves and nothing more. Strides away from memories that wash over her core. Lets the current take her where there is no pause for thought.
Birds lost at sea, their odyssey, an endless unspent urge to run, to kick, to say no. She has no light to guide them home. She can feel her body, just can't seem to reach her body. Cannot be his quarry. This body, his quarry, her body, his quarry. She walks, the taste of salt in her mouth.
The taste of salt in her mouth.
The sea sings its restless lullaby on
The
repeat,
sea's restless lullaby repeats,
insisting all things change.
Wow, gosh. It exists in the world, everyone. How amazing. I'm going to invite the team to come back now. Still just waiting for a few cameras to come back on. The suspense is too much for me. Viv, can you turn your camera back on?
So Karen needs to turn mine on.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There we go. Woo!
It is amazing. I mean, I don't know about you all, I felt very proud and emotional watching that for the first time, and I just love to get some initial reactions from each of you. What's it like knowing that that's now in the world, that we've just had our first audience, the track has dropped, as they say. Viv, how are you feeling?
Like really excited and a bit sort of shaky as well. It's like a totally new experience for me, and yeah, I just feel so proud, and I can see some comments coming in. It's really lovely to hear what people are saying, and it's it's just very exciting.
Amazing. Gosh. And I mean, Lou, I have to say, for those who don't know, I think it's something like 24 drawings a second or something to make that incredible work of art happen. How are you feeling after all those weeks and weeks of having your hands covered in charcoal and, you know, sleepless nights over this work? How are you feeling?
We're speechless, which is a bit unusual for me. It's only now we're back in here now that I realise that it's out there, because when I was watching it, of course, I've seen it thousands of times, bit by bit on the screen. So I just was back in my studio thinking, oh, I wonder if I should just add some, oh, I wonder if I should do that. Whereas now we're talking about it, I think, oh God, other people have looked at it. So yeah, it was mammoth, because I had to learn so much, and yeah, it's been an amazing thing to be involved in, really amazing.
Thank you, Lou. JDPL, you had to work with Viv to turn the original source material that Viv had written into lyrics. What's it like hearing those lyrics, and of course hearing the lovely Viv's voice sung on that track as well?
I'm just made up. I'm so happy that it's come together as it has, and you know, with Viv kind of delivering the vocal and stuff, it was a real learning curve, and I was really happy to be a part of that, and I'm so happy to hear how solid it's come out. I'm really proud to be a part of this project.
Amazing. And in Quinta, as composer and bringing all those strands together, how's it for you knowing it's now live?
Really, yeah, really exciting. Like everyone's been saying, when I was listening there, I was remembering the beginning of those 3 days of workshops that I had with JP and Viv, and all we had at that point was Viv's poem, and how this whole immense piece of work has grown from that seed. And I know how much work has gone into it, you know, kind of creative inspiration, and also, you know, personal sort of digging deep and really stepping up. And so yeah, I'm really proud of everybody. I'm proud of the song.
Amazing.
I'm just remembering you know, like recording. So I wasn't going to sing to start with, and they were like, you can sing, and I recorded a bit of really simple singing on my phone, and then I handed it to them at Hawkwood where we were working, and then I went outside and smoked fags in the car park. And then it took me ages to get, I went back in like this, like, oh.
And now I just think
like, we were like X Factor judges with
You were.
you know,
I didn't like it, I loved it.
amazing. Gosh. I'm just going to prompt the audience. Do start sending in your questions via the YouTube chat box, because there will be opportunity for those to be put to the team shortly. And also, there are other ways that people can get involved in the project. Emma, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about the campaign work that you've been doing connected to the wider Restless project.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. I'd be absolutely delighted to. So we know that survivors' voices often go unheard because others can find the subject uncomfortable, or they just feel unsure about how to respond. And so a large part of the campaign around Restless and She Walks has been focused on engaging with as wide an audience as possible to try to create opportunities for those conversations to happen. Now, one of the ways that we've done this is through the social media campaign, My Line in the Sand, where we've shared images of words of hope, rage and solidarity, and we've asked others to do the same. We want to draw a line in the sand at the silencing of survivors and to offer a way for both survivors and allies to share something about their own experiences. And we've had a really positive response to this and some really creative submissions using lots of different materials. So if anyone watching tonight would like to share, would like to take part and share one of their own, then we'd really love to see that. So just remember to use the hashtags MyLineInTheSand and RestlessVGC.
There you go. Look, Karen has just by magic put up a little image there that you can see some of the examples that people have already started sending us in. Also to say that whilst we're talking, Molly is frantically signposting in the chat box as well this evening, and those of you who booked via Eventbrite will send up a follow-up message to you all with sort of any of the top links and information after the event as well, which will also go on our social media. I'd also like to say that there are other ways that you can support us. We do realise that it's a really tough time for people right now financially, but we do find that there are a lot of people who mention that they would like to donate to the work of Viv Gordon Company. So if that's something that you would like to be able to do to support survivor-led artworks to continue, then you can. And Molly is going to pop a link to our paypal.me link into the chat as well. And you can also find out more about us and the work that we're doing and our plans coming up on vivgordon.com. Actually, I realised that that Quinta and Dave touched on this a moment ago, that the original source material that they were working with was Viv's poem, which leads me very nicely into Viv is going to read the original poem. And I just wondered for this, I think it'd be really nice to sort of focus in a bit more on Viv, if that's all right. So I wondered if the others of us could just pop our videos off for a minute, and then we just sort of give a moment for Viv to share the original poem with us, if that's okay.
Limelight. Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so here's the poem, She Walks. She walks because she can, because she needs to, because she doesn't know what else to do with this body that she barely recognizes as her own, that has been dashed on the rocks of life. Her head, a busy, grinning island floating beyond its numb harbour of flesh. Her breath, choppy, shallow, short, and most importantly, soundless behind the stopped-up cave of her mouth. Her shoulders set inwards, towering protectively over the narrow estuary of her chest. Her pelvis is a fossil. She does not want to be a woman. She hasn't felt her legs for years. They are far away, lost at sea. Their odyssey, an endless unspent urge to run, to kick, to say no. She hates them for their useless silence. She has no light to guide them home. Her stricken body swells huge. She has no edges. She is dissolved, effervescent, fizzing in the damp air. One day, she will wake up and realize that she is a person, but not yet. Now she takes her shoes off and walks unknowingly towards that moment on this harsh, barren ledge, vertiginous void without safety or understanding. She walks, putting one exposed foot before another, feeling sensation for the first time. A sharp jolt of pain cuts the coarse, abrasive shell that covers the soft life yielding inside. She walks with no map, not knowing why or where or what the point might be. The brooding storm in her head set against a gentle breeze outside that echoes endlessly of him, her body that he has quarried for his ill-gotten gain treads between his construction of barbed wire fences and the unseizable wildness beyond the shore. The taste of salt in her mouth. The sea sings its restless lullaby on repeat, insisting all things change. The tide is turning, and no canute will stem it. It is coming, and she walks because she can, because she needs to, because she doesn't know what else to do. Thanks.
Amazing. Thank you, Viv. I was going to ask for a bit of a discussion about what it was like turning that piece into the track. I'm actually feeling like it would be a really nice opportunity now the audience have had a chance to hear that original material and meet the team. I think it would be really nice to just play the track again. Let people just sort of be able to soak it in for a second time. It's like 3.5 minutes long, so I think that feels like the best next thing to do, if that's okay with everyone else in the room. I was going to nod. Good, great. In which case, if we all pop our cameras off again so that the video will then appear seamlessly. And Karen, could I ask you to play the video again for us?
She walks.
She walks.
Because she can.
Because she needs to.
Because she needs
Because
to.
she doesn't know what else to do with this body.
On this harsh and barren ledge, vertiginous we were deadpool. Feeling sensation is fresh. Balanced on a tapered edge. Bare feet treaded what they barely touched before. Steps towards a moment as she blocked out of her thoughts. Pain and recollection pulled her further from the shore, exposing what's inside her soul's left torn.
Her head, a busy grinning island, floating beyond its numb harbor of flesh. Her breath, choppy, shallow, shut and silent, behind the stopped-up caves of her chest. Her pelvis is a fossil. She doesn't want to be a woman.
She can hear the muffled thunder as she walks, listening to echoes in her mind is why she walks. Fingertips traces razor wire while she walks. In between the light and darkest sky is where she walks. Her fire lit by wildness beyond the shore, moving to what sounds like crashing waves and nothing more. Strides away from memories that wash over her core. Lets the current take her where there is no pause for thought.
Birds lost at sea, their odyssey, an endless unspent urge to run, to kick, to say no. She has no light to guide them home. She can feel her body, just can't seem to reach her body. Cannot be his quarry. This body, his quarry, her body. She walks, the taste of salt in her mouth.
The taste of salt in her mouth.
The sea sings its restless lullaby on
The
repeat,
sea's restless lullaby repeats,
insisting all things change.
Amazing to hear that a second time. I don't know about anyone else, but I was just having my groove on during that second play. Just amazing. Everyone's coming back. That's great. I don't know how we're doing on the question front, Molly. I'm hoping we've got lots of people with lots of reactions and questions coming in. Maybe Molly will be joining. Oh, there we are. Look, Molly's joining us to help with that now. I think we've got a couple of questions to get us started. I think maybe Emma, if you've got one to kick us off with.
Indeed, yeah. So I'm going to kick off with a question for Lou, and it's about the animation. So it's very kind of stripped back, that black and white charcoal effect. And the question is, did you have a particular image that you started from? Was there a particular point that you felt was the perfect starting point, or kind of how did you find a way into it?
The perfect image was a completely blank inside my head. I had no ideas. I had complete panic. What on earth was I going to do? Because not only I hadn't had any of that experience, so that felt kind of very intimidating in a funny kind of way. But then what happened was, when I got the poem, if I'd received a factual description of events, I would never have been able to make the animation. But because the poem had such imagery, so powerful in it, that things started to pop in. And me and Viv had a couple of FaceTime chats, and I just wrote down some of the words like misty and fuzzy and abrasive, and things started to evolve like that. Does that answer your question? I just go into so in a way, kind of, I don't storyboard, which is a bit of a nightmare for me and for other people who want to know what's going on, but it kind of evolved from reading Viv's blogs. Was really helpful. Just kind of imagery started feeding. Some imagery came and stayed with me. Like, for some reason, that bird thing, whatever it is, I don't know where it's come from, was with me. This is my storyboard. I don't know if anybody can see it. It's a scrap of paper. So that's as much as I write in terms of ideas, but it developed bit by bit by bit. And sometimes nothing happened, you know.
Oh, I think we can safely say a lot happened in the end. Just incredible work.
A few tears, I can tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Viv, sorry.
And just say that me and Lou have never met in real life. So it's just been a leap of faith, hasn't it, Lou? I saw a piece of work 8 years ago that Lou had made with a theatre company. And I just loved it then, and it stuck in my mind. And when we decided to do this project, I was like, who made it? Who is it? And I tracked her down. And it's been a really close collaboration that's all happened at a distance, which is, just a new one for me. And I can't wait to give you a big hug.
It is interesting how you have to build the trust, because obviously from someone who's not had that experience, it was, like I said before, it was daunting. But actually, some of the imagery I don't know whether that's going to be expressive of somebody's experience, or supportive, or whatever. So actually, as it went on, the trust built, and I got more daring with the imagery in a way, I think, because Viv gave me a complete open book to what I could do, which was just fantastic.
We've got a question from the audience out there in the internet space that relates to this type of conversation that we're having, which is how did you come together as a creative team? So we've kind of talked a little bit about how Viv and Lou met, but perhaps we want to talk about the rest of the team as well.
Yeah, how did you assemble your Avengers, Viv?
Well, I wonder if you want to say, like Dave or Quinta, how we met.
I can remember you doing a performance in Blackfriars in Gloucester of one of your other shows. Do you remember that? And I was there doing a performance with a beatbox band that I was with. And then from there, was it Sarah Blowers who hooked us up, and we went out on the walk, and we kind of got to chat and discuss the ideas behind the project. And then everything kind of, we had to take a break because it was like the process took a break, and then we all came back together for the second round of our research and development. No, there was the first round of research and development as well, when I first met Quinta as well up at Hawkwood, which is an amazing experience. We all got to kind of like dig into the subject matter more and work with each other just to see if we would gel, and we all got along famously. And then for the second round, it was because when it came to actually creating the kind of the spoken word / rap stuff in the finished track, I was lucky enough to work very closely with yourself, Viv, because we went away on the research and development 3 days. So everything that I put together, I could take back to Viv to see if it was reflecting what she had intended for the original material. And then I could kind of tweak it, take it away. It was lovely weather, wasn't it? So we were able to take breaks and go for little walks around to kind of decompress and stuff, and then checking back in with Quinta on the internet and bouncing ideas back and forth. Does that answer the question? I always feel like I'm rambling on these Zoom shows.
Right. And Quinta, as Dave just touched on there, you were working from afar as well. Like I mean, I know that you have met in person with Viv and Dave before. What was it like creating for you, joining the creative team at this time?
I suppose because we three had met before, we had that advantage. So as JP was saying, we had met before. I've worked with also Viv on another project in addition to Restless. And so we kind of had that head start, which was great. And we knew we got along well, and it was kind of a nice, rich mix. And in some ways, the remote collaboration was, even though it was kind of strange in a way, you know, how we've all had to adjust to remote working this year, it's also somehow not without opportunity. Like when we were first kind of exploring Viv's poem, I was feeling like the kind of, you know, the major conceit in it is this idea of the body almost being like a landscape, and the kind of micro and the macro, the interior and the exterior. And so I think we all felt quite keen to, I suppose, explore the potential in that and kind of create a world. And because we were coming from quite unconventional backgrounds in terms of the collaboration, so, you know, Viv is primarily a theatre maker, or has been up until now, until she became a lead vocalist. You know, JP and I come from different kind of musical genres. You know, we were planning to release a single before we'd made the music for the album in its entirety. And there's lots of unusual things that were happening on this project. And in a way, we thought, well, let's kind of exploit that. So we were all quite open-minded in what we thought it could become. And I suppose with the song, we were kind of hoping to create this world and almost to create a landscape that people listening and watching this animation could kind of enter into. And there was something about the remote collaboration that made that interesting. So when we were in the early stages of the collaboration, we were kind of sending each other ideas back and forth, and Viv and JP were experimenting with the lyrics and sending me different options over, and I was kind of planting them in, positioning them and exploring them. And they were recording stuff just into their phones, and often they would be doing it together, kind of outside, sitting in the sun. You know, you could hear like bees buzzing by. It felt almost like a bit kind of conversation. You could definitely hear the world already. And I think it was quite sort of helpful in the process of creating the world of the song, that somehow there was something in that process that we weren't together, but we were in these very specific environments that kind of really fed that. So
amazing.
I think that's kind of quite interesting in a way, that the experience of what's been happening is that actually, because especially as I live in Bradford, lockdown has been, you know, we've been in lockdown a long time, and I was in lockdown within lockdown because I was in a black space, darkened space, and actually that kind of, maybe that kind of helped. You know, it's like creating that world within that world, which you were doing by hearing it on the phone, and I was kind of trying to imagine a world within this kind of enclosed space. It's quite interesting. You think, oh, how would it have been different not in lockdown? And actually I think it's very different.
I think we've got another question from the audience as well, which might lead on quite nicely actually, Molly.
Yes, so we've had two quite similar questions in, so I'll say them both at the same time at once. So we've got one from Halima, I think, sorry if I've said your name wrong, from Gloucester, about how did you choose what lines to sing, read out, and also what lines for JPDL to rap. And then the other question is from James Hawkins asking, I was wondering, how did you choose which lines to omit and which ones to include? So a couple of questions around how did you decide how to choose the lyrics, and what ones to sing or rap or get JPDL to say, or for Viv to sing?
Gosh, it's quite hard to remember. What I do really remember about it, well, two things that I really remember about it are that from the first R&D, so before writing this song, you know, what I really loved about working with Dave was that we would sit and smoke fags. A lot of things about smoking fags in this talk. We'd be sitting outside having fag breaks, smoking fags on the bench at beautiful Hawkwood, and I would just ramble on about survivor experiences and political theory and all sorts of other things, and then he would just go away and write something and come back, and it would just be amazing. And it was my first experience really of handing over parts of my story for someone else to voice, and so I found that really exciting, which is why obviously why we asked Dave to come back and work on the track. And so I think, I can't really remember how we did that, but I think it would have been a really similar thing, that we both sort of having our own responses to it. And obviously Quinta was also, because she wrote the melody and all of that. And so it was a very collaborative process. But the other thing that I really remember about it was this feeling of like any anxiety around what was going to be left out was kind of taken away by the fact that we were working with Lou in the animation, because it felt like, well, and with the musical sound world that Quinta was creating, because it felt like things that weren't voiced could be expressed in other ways. And so there was something really beautiful about that and sort of relaxing about that, that it didn't all have to get in there. And I think we also had the idea of sharing the poem alongside the work as well, so that there'd be sort of all those different aspects to it. I don't know, what else, can anyone else remember how we did that?
Well, firstly, hi Halima. She's a good friend of mine and she's an incredible artist as well. I think it was kind of, I remember there being a series of kind of musical sketches from Quinta as well, when she was kind of throwing us some ideas and kind of finding our way with it, everything kind of forming in unison and kind of coming up to a certain point together. So the kind of the rough drafts of the lyricism, like as I said, I was taking the source material from Viv and just discussing it and kind of making sure that I wasn't misinterpreting anything, and just making sure that everything that I was taking on was landing properly. And it was me and Viv were working together on it, so it was really free with that. We could kind of take it away. I could take it away. And sit in the sun, smoke loads of fags, as you're saying, Viv. Do up some kind of demo sketches of little bits and bobs and things that I thought were maybe sticking out to me as jumping out to me from the original source material and poem, elaborating on them, taking them back to Viv, and just kind of making sure that we were on the right track and everything was resonating with the original source material. And Quinta kind of took it, built a kind of beautiful melody into there. And then Viv took that on and absolutely smashed it, singing it.
I mean, it's always really interesting with this work because, the layers of collaboration is what builds to the final thing. I think there's an interesting question coming in from that Emma might ask, which is maybe more about the source content a bit more.
Yeah, so obviously it's very autobiographical content, Viv, and of the subject matter is, I would imagine, quite a difficult one. Well, I know quite a difficult one to work with. So, how did that feel for you, and also for JPDL and Quinta coming on board with something that's so intensely personal? How did that work between the three of you?
I think I've been making work about my lived experience of childhood sexual abuse since 2014, and I've gone really slowly and carefully with my process and had a lot of support, and I continue to have a lot of support to make my work. And so for me it is difficult, but also it feels like the best thing I can do with it. Like, I live with it every day anyway. I feel like I may as well do something with it, and I'm lucky enough to to have a creative outlet to do that. I'm forgetting the question about how did I find the material.
Well, just about how you found working with it when it's such a personal, when it's about such personal experiences, and also how JPDL and Quinta, engaged with it, and how it was for them as well, because it's quite an unusual experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'll finish then just by saying it's sort of, for me, there's sort of like an alchemy to it, the turning shit into gold kind of feeling of like, what am I going to do with this? And so it's exciting. It's not easy, and I don't want to pretend that it's easier than it is, but it feels like a really exciting thing to do with something really shit. And it's politically driven, because all of my work is based on the fact that there's so little cultural representation, there's so little sense of community outside of our safe spaces. And so I'm an activist at heart. I've always been an activist in different ways, and I just that empowers me. The politics behind it empowers me to crack on with it. Yeah.
So a really interesting point that works really well with a question that's come in from our audience as well, Viv, from Emma Jane, about asking, Viv, how important it is to you to use art as a platform for your story and other survivors' stories.
Should we come back to that after JP and Quinta have answered the previous question, or?
Well, we're slightly running out of time. Is the
Are we?
Issue. Yeah, we could. I mean, yeah, that's my kind of thinking.
Okay. I I've forgotten the question, Kate.
Fine, I'll ask it again. It's absolutely fine. So how important is it to you, Viv, to be able to use art as a platform for your story and other survivors' stories?
Oh, it's really important. It's what I can do. And so I think it's a way of having a voice, and it feels like the most effective way that I can have a voice. I like the way that art and creativity sort of can like cut through in a different sort of way, where maybe some people can switch off, you know, if something's a difficult subject, or if they feel like they're being you know, people can switch off when you talk about abuse, basically. And so it's a way of helping people to be open to hearing our stories and connecting. And it's just such a wonderful way to process it all, and to sort of reach out to other survivors, because it's like art is always about our sort of unconscious, subconscious, talking to other people's unconscious and subconscious, isn't it? It's a sort of bypass beyond all the barriers that we face. I did want to say as well that if people do want to know about Quinta and Dave and Lou's process of working with the project, that there are videos on YouTube that where they talk about that really beautifully. Thanks.
Thank you, Viv. We somehow nearly an hour is gone, and that just amazes me that that's what's happened already. So what I would like to do is thank everyone, and I want to make sure that we've got time to play out with the track again, so that everyone gets a final third listen, and to say that the work is now live. You can watch the YouTube video. Sorry, I've now been messaged and it's just thrown me off track. This is a very good question. Someone has asked, is there anything else coming up with the Restless project? And the answer is yes. This is the start of a series of work. Restless is a whole body of work, and there's more information on the vivgordon.com website. This is the first track of a whole album of work and a whole wider campaign about being restless for change. So there's more information online about that as well. We need to do a little bit of thank youing and signposting and that kind of thing before we finish off. I think Viv has got some prepared notes on this.
Here's one I made earlier. Yes, so I just want to say a massive thank you to this incredible team for their amazing work on the project, and to our funders and supporters, all our funders and supporters, and particularly Arts Council England, South West and Strike a Light, and to all of you for coming tonight and being with us and sharing your thoughts and questions. And I'm really looking forward to being able to read through the chat, and I know that there are lots of friends and allies and new people to meet, and so I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you for being with us. If anyone wants to access support around childhood sexual abuse, then or other forms of violence and abuse, then the best place to go is the Survivors Trust, which is a national organisation, and they have a search function on their website where you can find support, and it signposts to like 140 or something local support services, so you can find your whatever's local to you. It also has information for friends and family who might want to know how to better support a survivor. And the other thing just to say about that is that sometimes people, for lots of different reasons, are nervous of being sort of caught looking at a website like that, and there is a quick shutdown function on the right hand side of the screen, so you can just press that. Like if you're looking at it and someone comes in who you don't want to know, you can just press that and it takes you to a weather site. which is great. And so do make use of that if you need to, and please keep in touch with our work. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Viv. Hopefully tonight has given everyone a bit more insight into the work of Viv Gordon Company and how we work as a survivor-led arts company. If you would like to support our work further, there are several ways that you can do that. Firstly, please tell people about this work. Share the link to the She Walks video, and it's also available to listen to on all sorts of different music platforms like Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, any that you can think of. We're probably on it now. We know firsthand that with our work, that visibility and starting conversations is incredibly important to reducing stigma. So sharing the work is a really vital part of that for how we work. You can also sign up to our mailing list and follow us on social media to keep in the loop of all our activities coming up in the future. For those who can, and we do appreciate it's a really tough time right now, so please only do this if you are able, but there is an option to donate to the company via PayPal. Above all, we massively appreciate the support you have already shown us by attending this event this evening. We really can't thank you enough, and it's been so brilliant to be able to share this event live with you tonight. I think it would be great to for Viv, for you to say to have the final word, I suppose, before we play the video one last time to finish the event this evening. So other than everyone else saying good night and waving, is there anything else that you would like to say before we play out with the film again?
I feel like I should say something important. I'm going to blow kisses and say thanks again for being here. Oh, and Kate sent me a mug to celebrate. Look, you can't read it. It says "fuck the system." Way! We want change. We're restless for change.
Amazing. If everyone would like to say goodbye, good night, wave, and thanks again to Karen for supporting our tech. Thanks again to Lee for doing our captioning, and to all the team. And Karen, if you would like to play the film again, and if we all turn our videos off.
She walks.
She walks. Because she can. Because she needs to.
Because she needs
Because
to.
she doesn't know what else to do with this body.
On this harsh and barren ledge, vertiginous we were devil. Feeling sensation is fresh. Balanced on a tapered edge. Bare feet tread a path they barely touched before. Steps towards a moment as she blocked out of her thoughts. Pain and recollection pulled her further from the shore, exposing what's inside her soul's left torn.
Her head, a busy grinning island, floating beyond its numb harbor of flesh. Her breath, choppy, shallow, shut and silent, behind the stopped-up caves of her chest. Her pelvis is a fossil. She doesn't want to be a woman.
She can hear the muffled thunder as she walks. Listening to echoes in her mind is what she walks. Fingertips traces razor wire while she walks. In between the light and darkest sky is where she walks. Her fire lit by wildness beyond the shore. Moving to what sounds like crashing waves and nothing more. Strides away from memories that wash over her core. Lets the current take her where there is no pause for thought.
Her legs are birds lost at sea. Their odyssey, an endless sun spent urge to run, to kick, She has no light to guide them home. She can feel her body, just can't seem to reach her body. Cannot be his quarry, this body, his quarry, her body, his quarry. She walks, the taste of salt in her
The
mouth.
taste of salt in her mouth.
The sea sings its restless lullaby on
The
repeat,
sea's restless lullaby repeats,
insisting all things change.